Fraser Clarke, and believes he believes he was the 6 out of 10 in that fight. Believes the 10 out of 10 stops him. So they both learn a kind of positive, which is going to put him in a better position for fight number 2 on 12th of October.
Well, the first one was an absolute thriller, Andy. I think you were commentating on it. It must have been a joy to commentate on. What a story and what a rematch.
Absolutely, it was spectacular to be there, and an easy fight to commentate on because of just how good it was. But it did go in passages, didn't it? And that's what made it such an interesting fight. Due to the fact that at the start, you could see that Fabio was getting hit by that jab, and he was thinking, okay, this is different. This is a bit different. Why can I not get out of the way of this jab? And this is heavier than a jab I've been hit with before. So immediately, I think he realised he was in with a better technical operator that he'd been in with before. But then in the middle rounds, and particularly in the second half of the fight, Fraser realises he's dealing with someone who was like nobody else he's dealt with before, because this guy just will not go anywhere, and he's still dangerous. He looks like he's about to fall apart at any second, and yet he can still hurt me somehow. So going into the second one, I do feel it's about who is most capable of making the adjustments from the first one. I know Fraser feels like that's him, but Fabio will be equally certain that it's him, and that's what I love about it. They both go in off the back of the first one, completely believing they'll win the second one.
It sounds to me, Andy, like if you take on board what you said there, and I do, that they'll both be facing some demons. They both know the other man can beat them. They both, from the way Fabio suddenly is being hit with shots, and they're good shots that he hasn't been hit with before. He's been clipped a few times, and then Fraser is hitting someone, and the guy's not showing any signs, and he's coming on and end up dropping him. So they both. So when they're sleeping at night, they're dreaming of victory. Of course they are, but they're also, before they're going to bed, they're having flashbacks to some of those rounds when things happened that had never happened to them before. Like, for instance, John, your career was so long and so illustrious. Like, when was the last time something happened to you in a fight that hadn't happened before? It was probably about 5 or 6 years before you retired. You know what I'm saying?
I was actually going to flip that over to you, Steve, because I thought Steve was around when I boxed. So you've seen them all come in all shapes and sizes. You've seen the highs, you've seen the lows. You've seen the ones that fall apart that we thought would go on top. And that's why I thought, can you match any fighters that you've come across with the characters of these two fighters, and the outcome has just been so tight. You've got one that's professionally inexperienced than the other, one that's got more amateur experience than the other, but one that's got professional success in Fabio Wardley. He's done that, he's got something about him that's annoying. And then you've got Fraser. He's got to prove something to himself.
Listen, I think they both feel they've got to prove something to themselves in some ways. Fraser more so. Let's not beat around the bush. He thought he was going to the 2012 Olympics. AJ doesn't get sent to prison. AJ comes out and qualifies. He thought he was 100% going to Rio, and Joe comes on top at that particular time. Fortunately, he does go to Tokyo. It's perhaps a year too late. That's neither here nor there. We know we're nitpicking there because it was a year too late for everybody. He's a GB stalwart. He's a man that's been to Europeans. He's been to World Championships. He's boxed all around the world. I mean, he's probably boxed in 60 countries. So he feels he's really got something to prove. Because, like it or not, and I know that Fabio's done very well to distance himself from his white-collar roots, we still like to go back to those white-collar roots. All four of us here, in private conversations, maybe not.
It's hard to give him that respect, isn't it? And it feels bad.
Which is disgraceful, but it is. I mean,
boxing snobbery.
You still say, and the rest of the sentence is for a white-collar boxer, which is a disgrace that we use that. I mean, I'm going to use it here. He's had unbelievable success. His heart, his guts, everything about him, his progress, what he's learned, his technique. For a white-collar boxer, it's amazing. And I'm still going to say it, which is, I'm not being disrespectful. That's, Johnny said it first, by the way. I said it second. And Dave thought it first, and Andy's been thinking it all the time. So let's not make out we're not thinking it.
Well, the main event, of course, is Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. We've talked about Fraser Clarke and Fabio Wardley. The undercard is also full of a lot of star power, Chris Eubank, Ben Whittaker, that we're going to speak about, but also fighters at the forefront of history. Skye Nicholson will defend her WBC World Featherweight title against Raven Chapman in the first female world title fight in Saudi Arabia. Riyadh season keeps making history.
You know what? I'm really delighted that it's Skye, and she's not fighting some Argentinian woman that's already fought for 5 titles, whose last 28 fights have been 10 rounds. And I'm really delighted that they haven't stuck Raven on in some interim international title. I think Raven and Sky, they've been on a collision course for a while, even though that they're both still fresh in bouts. They haven't waited for 5 or 6 years, but they've talked about each other for a long time, at least 18 months. I think it's one of the best female fights out there at the moment. I love Michaela Mayer against Sandy Ryan, don't get me wrong. I love whoever Lauren Price is going to fight in December or November, because I know it's going to be a good fight, but this is right up there with it, and that's why I think it's perfect for Riyadh season. And it's not just going to show, it's not just a good women's fight, it's a great women's fight on that card. And what it's going to do, you know, everyone knows about this famous amateur tournament I went to in Riyadh, where there's like 500 people there, and I walk through the door and there's a woman referee and there's a female judge, and there's a woman in the ring who's just been disqualified, and she takes her gloves off and throws them at one of the referees. I've not even been 10 feet inside the arena, and it's like I'm stepping back in time. And it was like a different world. It was a world that no one knows about. And Eddie Hearn said to me 10 minutes ago, and I'm not name dropping, I'm just repeating what he said. He said it's really important that if you're going to have a massive women's fight, it's one that all those female boxers in Saudi Arabia can look up to and go, wow, she's great, that's where I want to be. So they're pioneers, Dev, and pioneers are good.
They certainly are, Andy. Stylistically, it's a cracker. It's one of the best fights that can be made. It might be the best fight that can be made in female boxing right now. You've got the smooth boxer in Sky, and you've got Raven Chapman, who will just not leave her alone.
Yeah, it is that kind of equation, and it has built nicely, as Steve's been saying. They've been talking about each other, it's been rumoured, it seemed obvious, but the obvious doesn't always happen, and now it is happening. And I think for Raven, she's probably been getting slightly impatient, because she boxed 3 times last year, just once this year so far, because she has been waiting. I don't know how long ago, before it was announced, she would have been told that there was a strong possibility, but she'll be itching to get out there. And I think for Sky Nicholson, she won a vacant title, and there's nothing wrong with winning a vacant title. You go into the fights that you'll put in, but at the same time, when that's the case, you're looking for a signature victory after winning the vacant title to really kind of rubber stamp yourself, aren't you? And this would be that.
This will certainly be that. We've also got Chris Eubank Jr. taking on Kamil Zerameta. Eubank Jr. making his Riyadh season debut. And Johnny, it's always good to see Chris Eubank Jr., right? He's been out of the ring for around a year, and this is really him coming back and trying to remind everyone, get into the groove a little bit.
Chris is not just a boxer, he's a businessman, because he's kept himself in a prime position. You know, I want him. He's one of those fighters that can pick and choose where he wants to go. And it's his decision making, regardless of what titles he hasn't won in the past. So he has the capability of doing that, and people are curious, and maybe he gives us just enough, but not too much, to want to see him win or lose. Maybe he gives us just enough, or not enough, just to be intrigued. He is brilliant at it, no matter who he gets in with. Remember when he first came on the scene, his dad was throwing his name in the same line as Triple G at that early stage of his professional career. You know, it goes on. The son knows how to create interest, inspire, to intrigue, just to get your attention. And this is his decision making to get himself in such a great, lucrative position.
It's that promise, Dev, you see. With Chris, it's the unknown and the promise. And so you kind of want to say he's been overprotected and he's not going to make it in the big time, but you can't do that in case he gets in the ring and hits someone on the chin and you look like a fool. As you know, everyone's a genius. I don't know about your phone, but at about 20 past 11 on Saturday night, I had about 30 messages from people. Everyone knew what the result would be. Everyone knew Dubois was going to knock him out in the 5th round with a counter right hand. So it's the same with you, mate. When he either does win that a really good world title, or he does get bashed up and beaten and stopped on his feet, not like Liam Smith, but in a hard fight, everyone will say, I knew that. And it's a little bit like people are a little bit afraid. I think, in my personal opinion, I think he is underestimated as a fighter with talent and heart. And if his name's John Smith, he's been a great servant and a great fighter. I'm convinced of it. He's had to wander and fight his way outside that umbrella, that father's umbrella. And those of us that were around ringside and around with Chris, Johnny was, it was a privilege and a pleasure to be around his dad when he was fighting. Forget the monocle and the silly bikes and some of the statements. He was unbelievable. And he kept out, we talk about AJ carrying the sport. Well, he helped carry our sport for a long time. And that's a massive umbrella. That's a massive backdrop.
Do you think he's drawn the line to say, you know what?
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think so, John. He said to me the other day, he said they're not calling me Junior anymore, and they're not calling me Junior anymore, and not calling me Chris Eubank's son. Well, they will if he loses, trust me. If he wins, he might become just Eubank. He might just be Eubank, and the other one might just be Eubank. By the way, did you see the nick that the other Eubank's in? He must be a pound over the super middleweight limit. He looks unbelievable. Anyway, I digress. Sorry, sorry, Dev.
Well, listen, Chris Eubank Jr is also one of those fighters, because of the reasons we've talked about, very much with a target on his back. He is performing just a month after Hamza Shiraz just put on a stunning performance at Wembley Stadium, Andy, and Hamza Shiraz keeps talking about Chris Eubank Jr. That fight keeps growing. Of course, Chris Eubank Jr has his own fights that he wants to target. He's talked about Canelo, Conor Ben, Lara, but is there a little bit of pressure here to make sure he does make a statement to set himself apart from the likes of Hamza Shiraz?
I think he needs to look good. I think he does, and I think they chose wisely for him, because Kamil Szeremeta, a former world title challenger, former European champion, but in his last fight he drew with a guy called Abel Mina. I saw Abel Mina's fight after that in Caracas a few weeks ago. It's not on his record, and he was very lucky to get a win over 8 rounds against a Ugandan guy called Shadiri Bwogi. And I looked at it and I thought, if Szeremeta's only drawing with this guy, then he's on the slide. So I think that they picked well for Eubank, because he does need to look good. I'm kind of fascinated by him, to be honest. I was a massive fan of his old man, and you just never know what's going to come next with him. He came in to do the podcast at Sky, and I was hosting it because Andy Scott was on holiday, and he said, well, I'm probably going to have a tune-up and then I'm going to fight Canelo. And I said, well, if you're going to have a tune-up, that's fine, but that'll be for short money compared to what you're used to. And he kind of gave me a bit of a sideways look, saying, oh, you think so?
He doesn't do short money.
He doesn't do short money, and then, of course, this turned up.
You want me, you pay for me. That's the best tattoo he's got on his chest, trust me, yeah.
Well, Ben Whittaker, also a man who's growing in profile, growing in stature. He's got that Olympic silver medal. He's got 3 million Instagram followers to go with it. He's in action against Liam Cameron in what appears to be a step up.
This, to me, is a perfect platform for Ben Whittaker. I've always said from after his first 3 professional fights, this guy's a full package. I remember the emergence of Prince Ateem Hamid, the things he said and did, evoked emotion. I loved him or loathed him, but he backed it up. Kept winning and winning. Now, I'm not saying Ben's as conclusive as Naz, but he's exciting. He makes you debate. He makes you sit up and pay attention. If he wants the world to know who he is, on the ground they know he is inside boxing, here and across the water, but if he wants the world to know who he is, he needs to put on the most braggadocious show possible to try and steal the show on the 12th, so everybody gets that bug. That's got love him or loathe him bug, because he is not just show, he's business, he's show business, and this boy just needs to just say, right, this is what I'm about. What a platform to do on, which is currently now the biggest platform in the world, Riyadh season.
Yeah, I think genuinely that Ben Whittaker can become one of boxing's true stars, and I don't just mean a good fighter, I mean a real star. I think there's so much that we haven't tapped into yet, and people say that this was a bad performance and he shouldn't have gone 8 rounds there, that he should have got that guy out of there, that he shouldn't have got involved there. Well, he's still learning, and he's still young, very young at heart, Ben, but he got a silver medal in the Olympics, and it wasn't an easy run. That means he was in the final. That means he lost in the final at the Olympics, which is a rare old thing, don't get me wrong. I like him a lot as well. I think he can do unbelievable damage in that division, and he needs to look good against Liam Cameron, because I saw Liam Cameron against Lyndon Arthur recently, and he's a handful, Liam. He's got a point to prove after being banned for those few years for his minor recreational drug problem, which he got for about 4 or 5 years. Ridiculous, over the top sentence. He's not an easy man, and he doesn't fall over, Liam Cameron. There's no history of him falling over, Johnny.
Perfect test.
So it needs to be. We need to see the best Ben we've ever seen. Okay, because I think a 10-round peppering Liam Cameron from distance might not. I mean, it's a win, but it might not be enough for what you're implying, Dev, and what we're all talking about. To move on, he needs to do more than win every second of the 10 or 12 rounds, however long the fight is.
Well, Andy, Johnny talked about a braggadocious performance. Sounds right up your street.
You know what I think he should do during fight week? and I'm sure he will, is look at the two guys at the top of that card, because they're in his division, and think to himself, I want to put on a performance that one of these two would be proud of. So maybe a little bit of showboating, a little bit, because it's kind of, it's part of his brand, but only a little bit, and concentrate on giving us a cold, merciless, cruel performance.
He's got that in the locker, Andy.
Oh, he definitely has.
I'm convinced he's got that in the locker.
Well, we will find out on October the 12th, and we will find out what he has to say for himself, along with the rest of the card, topped by Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. We're going to head over now to the full press conference table. Let's head over to Thomas Treiber. Well, Thomas Treiber, we're not going to head to him just yet. We're going to come back. That is the magic, the beauty of a live stream.
He wasn't having any of that, TT, was he? He wasn't having any of it at all.
Deb, can I just tell you, I'm looking at that there. You said we're going to head over. I looked at that and I'm thinking, no, there's a good 6 or 7 or 8 minutes left yet, son. Don't worry, we're not finished yet. Not a chance. Look at that table. They're relaxing.
Yeah, no,
they're not even on the 3rd course yet, and it's a 6th courser.
It is a
boxing
table
royalty right up there,
full of boxing royalty, full of the promoters as well. Eddie Hearn's up there, Frank Warren, Ben Shalom's up there as well. Do you think we'll get any fireworks today? There's been a lot going on. What do we think?
I believe we're going to see a bit of smugness from Frank, humbleness from Eddie. Can he be humble?
I told you 6 minutes.
Let's head over to Thomas
Press
Treiber.
conference for a great night of World Championship Boxing, Saturday, October 12th, from the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We would first like to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the custodian of the 2 holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and His Excellency, Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority, JIA, Turkey Al-Sheikh. This great event is being brought to you by Riyadh Season and the General Entertainment Authority, JIA, with Frank Warren for Queensberry Promotions, Bob Arum for Top Rank Incorporated, Eddie Hearn for Matchroom Boxing, Gold Star Promotions, Boxer, and Stella. It will be shown worldwide on DAZN, on TNT Sports Box Office, and the main event only on ESPN+. Let's now welcome the participants. Our first 2 fighters competing in a scheduled 4-round international lightweight contest. First, from Sucre, Colombia, here is Jesus Gonzalez. And now let's welcome from Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, mighty Mohammed Al-Akil. Our next 2 fighters will be competing in a scheduled 10-round contest for the Women's WBC Featherweight Championship of the World. Let's first welcome from High Wycombe, England, the undefeated current Women's WBC International Featherweight Champion, Raven the Omen Chapman. And now let's welcome from Queensland, Australia, the undefeated, reigning and defending Women's WBC Featherweight World Champion, future undisputed Sky Nicholson. Our next two fighters will be competing in a scheduled 10-round contest, and it will be for the IBF International Light Heavyweight Championship. Let's first welcome the challenger from Sheffield, England, the former Commonwealth champion, Liam Cannonball Cameron.
Mate.
And now let's welcome from West Bromwich, England, the undefeated reigning and defending IBF International Light Heavyweight Champion, Ben the Surgeon Whittaker. Our next fighter will be competing in a scheduled 12-round contest for the IBF Cruiserweight Championship of the World against the defending champion Jai Apataya. Let's welcome from Manchester, England, the challenger and current EBU European and Commonwealth Cruiserweight Champion, Jack One Smack Massey.
I kind of knew that I wasn't sure, but I didn't know we were on it. Do you know what I mean? Crazy.
Our next two fighters competing in a scheduled 12-round contest for the vacant IBO Middleweight Championship of the World. First, from Białystok, Poland, here is the former EBU European champion and former world title challenger, Kamil Szeremeta. And now let's welcome from Brighton, England, the former British champion and former IBO super middleweight world champion, Chris Eubank Jr. Our next two fighters will be competing in a scheduled 12-round contest. It will be for the British Commonwealth and WBA International Heavyweight Championships. Let's first welcome the challenger from Burton-on-Trent, Staffordshire, England. Let's welcome the undefeated Fraser the Eraser Clarke. And now let's welcome from Ipswich, England, the undefeated reigning and defending British Commonwealth and WBA International Heavyweight Champion, Fabio Wardley. Ladies and gentlemen, the main event, it is scheduled for 12 rounds, and it will be for the undisputed light heavyweight championships of the world. Let's first welcome the undefeated, reigning and defending WBA and IBO light heavyweight champion of the world, Dmitry Bivol.
In the end, there.
Well, you fucking broke it.
And now let's welcome the undefeated, reigning and defending Ring Magazine, WBC, WBO, and IBF unified light heavyweight champion of the world, Artur Beterbiev.
Not about me.
And now here is your host, Mr. Adi Oladipo.
Thomas, thank you very, very much. Wow, what an incredible lineup. It really is when you see some of the best fighters in the world and 2 pound-for-pound stars as well, some future pound-for-pound stars, no doubt here as well. It's great to see promoters on the table. Todd DeBuff from Top Rank, great to see you, Todd. We don't see you enough. Frank Warren from Queensbury, Eddie Hearn from Matchroom, Ben Shalom from Boxer. Before we start with this press conference, I just want to say thank you and congratulate everyone from what we saw on the weekend. It was an incredible event and everyone played their part, the media, the articles that you guys put out, the videos that you put out. I watch and see everything. Congratulations to you, the promoters who worked with each other as well, the broadcasters, the fans. Record numbers attended Wembley Stadium, nearly 100,000 were in attendance. Thank you so much for coming, and to most importantly, the fighters for putting it all on the line. One fighter that I do want to single out, you guys would have seen it at the end of the fight he had against Anthony Cacace. Josh Warrington put his gloves down on the canvas, and I just want to congratulate Josh on, if this is his final fight, what an incredible career Josh has had. I've been lucky enough to have gone to a few Josh Warrington fights, and I've always said, I think I've said this to Eddie so many times, I think the best fans that I've ever seen when it comes to boxing, the noise that those Leeds fans make are incredible. And if we don't see it again, I will be disappointed, Eddie, but hopefully Josh is happy with the career he's had, because I think it's been an absolutely outstanding career. So if we can, just a round of applause for Josh Warrington on what is an incredible career. All right, to matters at hand. I sat down with Turkey, I think it was post AJ Ngannou press conference, and we had the whole lineup of what was to come in Riyadh season for the coming months. And I asked him one question. I said, of all the fights that we've got coming, which one are you most excited about? You guys might have seen the interview. 54 million views, just saying. And he said that he's most excited about Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol, and I share that excitement as well. We are talking two of the best light heavyweights, not just of this era, which is obvious because they're both unbeaten and both unified. I think we're talking about two of the best light heavyweights of all time. And whoever wins this fight come October 12th is in a great argument to be called the best light heavyweight we've ever seen. You have Dmitry Bivol, the current WBA and IBO champion, unbeaten, some incredible wins, most notably going to Las Vegas and beating Canelo Alvarez. Following that performance, he completely schooled Zurdo Ramirez, who's now a cruiserweight world champion. And then we have Artur Beterbiev, who is just an absolute wrecking machine. 20 fights, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. You can see the gold in front of him, the WBC belt, the IBF belt, and the WBO belt. Someone is going to go home with all this gold, plus the Ring Magazine, October 12th, and that's why I think it's not just the best fight we've seen this year, and it will be. I think it's one of the best fights we're ever going to see. I really do think this is going to be something very, very special, and it is going to take place as part of Riyadh season. And you know by now that Riyadh season only delivers stuff that are very, very special. We are going to hear from all the fighters. I have been promised that Jai Opataya will be here very soon. His flight landed late, but we have got him an emergency vehicle. He will be here to obviously go back and forth with Jack Massey. Before we do that, I do want to quickly hear from a couple of men on the top table. Spencer Brown, I'm going to start with you. Me and you have spoken so much about what Riyadh season has done to change the sport of boxing. Before we focus on this event, Spencer, just a quick look back to what we all experienced on Saturday. Wembley Stadium looked insane. It looked incredible. That has been Riyadh season, and obviously we can expect something similar October 12th.
Yeah, a lot of people have said to me that they thought Saturday was possibly the best boxing event ever been put on the world's ever seen. I can't think of too many more that have. It was incredible. The result was maybe unexpected for a lot of people, but just the whole thing was incredible. The stars were there. Just the whole build-up to it. Wembley way you walked up there was like England was playing. It was incredible. So I've got to say well done to Riyadh season, Turki Al-Sheikh, all his team, Sella, GEA, everybody. I mean, they left nothing to fruition with that show. Everything was bang on. Unbelievable.
In terms of expectance for this one, again, I've given it the big sell. It didn't need a sell because it is incredible. But Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev for all the marbles is just sensational.
It just keeps rolling on. It's show after show. I mean, this fight is, I think, if you're a boxing fan, is a must-see fight. We had the injury first of all. It's all come back round. We're now here with it. I just can't wait. But there's a few milestones here today. We've got the first time two ladies are fighting in Riyadh. I'm looking forward to that one. And we've got another guy here, a Saudi Arabian's making his debut in Mohammed, and he's took a long time to get there. But we've now got Saudi Arabian fighters coming through and can match on the world stage. So I'm looking forward to that, and he's a great kid. There's great fights. I think everybody's going to love this and enjoy it. Yeah. So buy it on pay-per-view.
Certainly do. It's going to be an incredible fight card. Eddie Hearn, I'll turn to you. Dmitry Bivol is your guy, right? Dmitry Bivol is, I think, one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world. Before you talk about Bivol, again, your reaction to Saturday, right? I mean, AJ was your guy as well, Eddie. Your reaction to Saturday and then to Dmitry Bivol.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I think, echo what Spencer said, just one of the greatest, not just fight nights, but sporting events I've ever seen. Obviously, didn't go our way, but at the same time, left Wembley a little bit with the tail between the legs, but particularly proud of the shot in the arm that British boxing needed. And that shot in the arm was provided in the most unexpected way via Riyadh season, which, with this event, Bivol Beterbiev, which we'll come on to, will mark 1 year, really, since big-time boxing began in Riyadh season. And what has happened is incredible. And I will take a time just to say I still can't understand the negativity and moans from some people. Riyadh season is a project that takes place in Riyadh. What we saw last week was a culmination of a passion for sport that His Excellency has. A man that listened to the fight fans and went above and beyond to deliver for British fight fans who said they wanted to experience a Riyadh season event. No one could have put on an event like that. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying it, but that includes me, that includes Frank, and we all acknowledge that. And what we have seen over the last year has changed the face of the sport. It's benefited everybody in this room, particularly and most importantly the fighters, who have had the fights that can define their legacy, have had the fights that can financially secure their future. And as promoters, we're all starting to see what working together can do for the sport. Last week was incredible, and Los Angeles was incredible. And this is all coming from a passion that His Excellency has for the sport. And we are 100% behind it and committed, and I've certainly never had so much fun in the sport. I've never enjoyed the fight nights as much. I've never seen so many fighters taking opportunities and taking chances. So long may that continue. This fight, for me, unquestionably, the best fight in boxing. And it is a fight that any fight fan, hardcore or casual, will acknowledge as two generational greats, the best two light heavyweights in the world fighting for every single belt. I hope that casual fans around the world can hear and listen and understand the importance of this fight, because this is a fight that, for me, can only be an all-time classic. The guy to my left, our charge, Dmitry Bivol, just an incredible fighter. A master technician, you know, someone that went into the lion's den of the T-Mobile Arena on Cinco de Mayo and, schooled Canelo Alvarez that night and beat him with ease. This time it's a bigger challenge physically. One of the all-time great light heavyweights in Artur Beterbiev, a machine. And you have two immovable forces meeting for the undisputed light heavyweight world championship. And I think what a fantastic way to kick off Riyadh season with the very best fight in the sport. And the undercard, every single fight on the card can headline its own show, as per usual. So my advice to everybody is let's keep this momentum. Let's keep staging big fights in Britain, in America. You know, we've got Todd and Top Rank here as well. And let's keep riding this wild ride of Riyadh season, which is changing the face of the sport and making boxing great again.
Thank you, Eddie. I was going to say phones on silent, then I realised it was Beterbiev's phone, so you can do what you want, Artur. Frank, Riyadh season's been insane, right? Incredible. Eddie mentioned it would be a year once this fight rolls round. Jai, great to have you in the building as well, Jai. It would be a year since the first Riyadh season event, Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou. How would you sum up the 12 months so far in Riyadh season?
Game changer, which we said last year. This would be and has been a game changer for British boxing, for the world boxing scene. You know, Riyadh season now means the best fights in the world. That's what it is. If you say Riyadh season, they're the best fights in the world. That's what's been delivered. The fights that the fans want to see. And I just want to add, before going on about it, I just want to add to what Eddie said. Why is there criticism here? I don't get this whatsoever. You know, people, a small minority of people complaining about a national anthem being played. The clue is in the name. It's called Riyadh season. That's why we were at Wembley, because they enabled that huge event to be made. As Eddie said, as I know, I'm sure Todd will agree, these type of events would not be able to be made without that financial input. And it's because of the love of boxing from His Excellency and the fact that he's chairman of Riyadh season has made that happen. And the fans there, were they disappointed? Did you hear anybody moaning about the event? The only people you hear moaning about it are people who are not included, or maybe had a meeting cancelled when they couldn't, when they were blown out because of the they put their nose out of joint. And there's one person in particular which I'm going to deal with afterwards. I will speak to some of the guys and tell you how I feel about what's been said today. But it's ridiculous. This has been brilliant for boxing. You know, I'm looking there's Colin, the Doyen of boxing over there, Colin Hart, and you know, sitting there next to him is Jeff Powell. They've been all around the world. They've seen big fights. They've been to Kinshasa. They've been to the Thriller in Manila. They've done all these. You know, we've got Todd here. He's, you know, his stepfather. All these big fights he was involved with around the world. People complaining where fights are taking place. Big fights took place in Africa, in the Philippines, all over Jamaica. Big fights. What's the moan about all this? I don't get it one little bit. The fights are happening. The fans are getting what they want, which are the big fights, great fights. And here we are today. We're involved with a show that's got another great fight, the Game of Thrones. These 4 belts on the line. 2 undefeated fighters, 43 fights between them, undefeated. You know, one of them has the most perfect record, 20 fights, 20 knockouts. This is something special, and it's happening because of Riyadh season. You guys, how long have you been trying to get it on this fight? Everybody's been trying to make this fight happen. It's not happened. And now, because of Riyadh season, it is. And you know what? These guys are getting well paid for it as well. Big money. In the most dangerous of all sports, getting paid great purses. What is there to complain about? The fans are doing well, the boxers are doing well, and yes, by the way, we're doing well. We work hard. That's what we're doing. We're professionals. We're not amateurs. And I certainly am not really an apologist for anything that's happened. It's been brilliant for British boxing, and it's certainly been brilliant for the boxers that I've been involved with. 5v5, how would that have happened? Would we have been talking about that? No, we wouldn't have been talking about that. That happened because of Riyadh season. And it's just disgraceful that people are picking at stuff after such a sensational night on Saturday, a sensational night that all the fans loved. People saying, oh, there was a couple of empty seats, called sightlines, canopy sightlines. But what would they know about boxing? What would they know about setting up an event? And as I say, here we are again. And you know what's on this card? An historical moment for Saudi Arabia, for Riyadh, a women's world title fight. That's what we got on the card. Is that progress? Is that great? Is that great for women's boxing? You pleased about that, Sky?
Very.
Raven?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, and you're getting well paid?
Yep.
That's what it's about. I don't get all this nonsense, all this negativity. This is brilliant. I'm 72 years of age. I can't believe some of the people and some of the things that are being said. And if you feel so bad about it, don't attend. Don't come, don't attend. But you know what? The boxing fans will be there because they love it. They love what they're seeing and what they're getting. And this show is a great, great show. And I don't want to, and I am deviating from the main fight, but this main fight, I'm a neutral in this, but I've got to tell you something, I can't wait to see it. This is a great fight. This is what boxing's about. The best fighting the best. And we'll find out, is he the best or is he the best? We're going to find out.
We certainly will. Frank, very much. I'm conscious of getting to the fighters quickly, but I do want a quick word from Todd DeBuff from Top Rank. Todd, you've flown in from the States. You hear Frank's speech there, and it is impassioned, isn't it? Because there are some that are negative towards Riyadh season, but it's been fantastic for fight fans and for the fighters.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting. I landed yesterday, and I call it the ripple. The buzz. And when you have a great event, and it kind of seeps over to Monday, Tuesday, and we're talking about it today, that's a great event. And most people are used to Bob or Don or Eddie or Frank, us throwing shade on one another. Truthfully, I am so proud to be in this business because of what these guys did on Saturday night. What they did, what Sella did, what the Riyadh season did, it helped all of us enormously bring back the faith in fans, in sports fans. I'm not hating. I'm actually upset I wasn't there. Because nothing, you can go to a football game in America, you can go to a soccer match, it didn't come through on that television like your broadcast did. And when you talk about Riyadh, I was 1967, I was born in Las Vegas. As a kid, Las Vegas's identity was prize fights. That's Caesar's Palace. It was iconic. And that was their strategy. Their strategy was to bring the biggest fights to that town to create an identity for it other than just an absolute gaming hall. And we're seeing this be done with Riyadh. They're executing a very similar plan. They want to have the big events. They want Formula One. They want wrestling. They want boxing. And they're making a lot of sports and a lot of us content holders bridging the gap to make this stuff happen. So we should all be appreciative. But really, honestly, real kudos to everybody involved on Saturday, because there's no hate in here, just love.
Well done, Todd. Thank you very much. Final word to Ben before we hear from the fighters. Ben, shalom. You've got a few charges on this fight card, some really good fighters as well. You must be excited about your stable at the moment and what your stable can do for Riyadh season.
Yeah, it is incredible. Saturday night was the best boxing event I've ever attended. But I have to thank His Excellency. There's a lot of politics in the game. I think people see the promoters back and forth, but he doesn't let it get in the way. He doesn't let it get in the way of the fights he wants to make, the fighters he wants to see, the stars he wants on the show. This is the best fight in boxing. But then the undercard is ridiculous as well. And main events and superstars, and for me, a heavyweight fight that broke records this year. It's incredible. Thank you to His Excellency. Thank you to Spencer Brown. I'm looking forward to another historic event.
Thank you very much, Ben. All right, let's hear it from the fighters. I want to start with a fighter from Saudi Arabia making his debut from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia as well. So he's going to have a lot of the home crowd. Mohammed Alakal. Mohammed, well done. Congratulations, your debut coming up. You must be super excited.
Yes, I'm very excited. Looking forward to it. Been training hard with Joe Gallagher for a year now, and yeah, I would like to thank Turkey Alishekh for this opportunity as well.
Are there any nerves seeping in? Again, this is a massive card, right? I mean, you are going to be opening the card as well. You are a local. When we get back to Saudi Arabia, are there any nerves there?
Well, yeah, but I'll be ready. I'll be ready.
I'm sure if Joe's training you, you will be. Let's speak to your opponent, Jesus Gonzalez, via translator as well. Jesus, what an opportunity. I mean, these fight cards are the biggest fight cards of the year. You are going to be opening this fight card. I'm guessing you are going to come to try and cause the upset.
Bueno, primero que todo, mi Dios me los bendiga a todos los presentes. También quiero dar gracias a los promotores por hacer esto posible y tenerme en cuenta en su cartelera, que para mí, y yo sé que para muchas personas, es uno de los eventos más importantes de la historia en el boxeo. Cabe mencionar que estoy muy feliz también por Arabia, por abrirme las puertas, y claro está mi oponente también por aceptar la pelea conmigo. Nada, pues con un gran honor, feliz me siento, y pues a darla toda y agradecido vuelvo y digo.
So basically he's saying God bless you all. He's a very religious guy, so God bless you all. He wants to really thank the promoters, all of them. He really wants to thank Arabia Saudi as well to give him this opportunity. It's one of the best events in history of boxing, and he wants to thank his opponent team as well for picking him up to fight. It's a great honor. He's over the moon, and of course he's going to be at the top of his game. He's going to try to be the surprise of the event.
Thank you very much, Jesus. Mohamed Alakal versus Jesus Gonzalez will open the card October 12th. Many have asked about a female fight on Riyadh season card. I've spoken to His Excellency Turkey about this so many times, and he said we're waiting for the female fight, and I think we have one now. Sky Nicholson, unbeaten, the current WBC featherweight champion. Raven Chapman, unbeaten, WBC international champion. It's only right that they meet to open Riyadh season for females to fight there. Sky, I want to start with you first, the champion. You've got a smile on your face already. You've been waiting for this opportunity. You've called out Amanda Serrano for ages. It's not Amanda, but it's a tough one in Raven Chapman. How excited are you to be fighting on a Riyadh season card?
I'm very excited. Obviously, I'd like to thank His Excellency for the opportunity. I think this is a better fight than me versus Serrano anyway. I have a lot of respect for Raven. I think we're going to be a great clash of styles, and I'm just very, very honoured for the opportunity.
In terms of sort of matchups, you're always confident when you go into your fights. You've barely been hit in any of your fights. Are you expecting a lot more from this, given her CV?
Yeah, I'm prepared for anything and everything on the night. I've levelled up again this camp, and whatever Raven brings, we've got an answer for it.
Raven, to you, what was it like when you got that phone call? It's a big phone call to pick up as well. One of the ones you don't want to miss, but you did answer it. You're here now. Excitement?
Yeah, massively. Just want to thank everyone involved to have made the fight happen. Turkey Al-Sheikh, Frank, Eddie. If it wasn't for them, this fight wouldn't be happening, and women's boxing wouldn't be on Riyadh season yet. And like Sky says, I think this is a great first fight for the women's fight to be on there. Great clash of styles, and I'm just really looking forward to getting women on that big stage and putting on a performance.
I was going to say that the importance of it, obviously, look, it's a world title fight, and that's first and foremost, but the fact that you're going to be the first women's fight on a Riyadh season card, I mean, your name's forever going to be etched in history for doing that. That must mean so much to you.
Yeah, it's huge. I was just talking about before, there's not a lot of things now to make history, and to still be able to be part of something to go down in the history books is really humbling, and a massive part of why I do this as a fighter as well, as a woman in boxing, and just hopefully make it clear that it doesn't matter what gender you are, man, woman, you should get the opportunities that you deserve.
I know your journey to this point, so congratulations as well. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for both of you. Sky Nicholson versus Raven Chapman. Ben Whittaker versus Liam Cameron is on this card, and I've been begging for Ben to get on one of these Riyadh season Saudi cards for so long, because I think he's a superstar already, in and out of the ring. But against Liam Cameron, it's not going to be easy. Liam Cameron coming off a close fight against Lyndon Arthur for the IBO light heavyweight strap. Liam, what a fantastic opportunity for you. Ben has made it look relatively easy so far. I don't think it's going to be easy October 12th.
Well, it's up to him, innit? I don't know how if he's going to box or he's going to fight with me, but it's going to be a good fight. I'll drag a fight out of him.
Are you expecting that type of fight, Ben? Again, so far, no one's been able to really drag a fight out of you, right? You've done what you wanted to do in that ring. Some people like it, some don't. I absolutely love it. What can we expect October 12th, Ben?
I'm not really concerned what he brings. I'm more concerned about the DJ, because I don't know what music he was playing when I was walking up here, so just make sure he sorts that out for Saudi.
Any pressure on you? Again, a lot of people have been calling for you to be on these big cards. Obviously, look, you've been on big cards with Boxer, but this is something slightly different, right? Any pressure on you to perform?
I truly believe this is the stage I was meant to be on. And come October 12th, you'll see why I'm so special.
Liam, final one from you. You would have watched these fights, all of them. Your team would have studied these fights as well. Why are you so sure and confident you can beat Ben Whittaker?
I've watched 2 of his fights, and I know he won with a silver in the Olympics, and me and my girlfriend were watching it. We were laughing, not at him, but like, because he's funny how he makes his opponents miss. So we were like laughing, but he's not going to be able to do that. You have to put your hands up in boxing.
So far, his hands have been down and they've been successful, so it should be a good one. Ben Whittaker versus Liam Cameron. I do believe Ben will be pushed more than he's been pushed in previous fights. All right, I think the best cruiserweight in the world, Jai Pataya, will take on Jack Massey. Jai, first of all, thank you for making it here, Jai. I know you had a bit of an issue in getting here, but you are here. Jai, so far so good on Riyadh season cards, right? Ellis Zorro, you got pushed against Marius Bradis. We know you wanted the Chris Billam-Smith fight. You don't get that. You get Jack Massey, who himself's coming off a really good win against Isaac Chamberlain. Is that a disappointment you didn't get Chris Billam-Smith, or are you excited to be taking on Jack Massey?
Man, you know, it is what it is. Jack Massey has my full focus now. We're locked in on him. You know, I was chasing those unification fights, but unfortunately we didn't get one, so it is what it is, man. 12th of October, we do it again.
Jack, a few were offered. A few, for whatever reason, couldn't take the fight, turned it down, dates didn't match up. You put your hand up and said, we'll take this fight. Again, you're coming off, I think, a fantastic win against Isaac Chamberlain. Why were you so ready to take this one against Jai Pataya?
Listen, this is what I do. This is my job. We're fighters at the end of the day, and you get an opportunity this big, you take it with both hands. And I know how big this opportunity is. I'm going to take it with both hands, and I'm more than ready for the 12th. So good to go. But I appreciate it. Thank everyone what's made it happen. Turkey, Alashate, Ben, Spence, Kevin, my trainer Joe. So thank you very much.
Many in the trade are already looking at unification fights for Jai Pataya, right? They're talking undisputed, potentially going to bridge or even heavyweight. You've been underdog in a few fights and you've overcome that, and you've upset the apple cart before. Are you expecting to do exactly the same October 12th?
Yeah, definitely. Listen, I know I've got a tough fight ahead of me, but I don't just turn up. I don't turn up for the money. I never do. I never did against Parker, and that wasn't my weight class. So, like I said, I know I've got an opportunity here. It's a lottery ticket. I'm going to take it with both hands and do anything I can in my will to win this fight.
Jai, against Marius Bradis, it almost looked like a perfect Jai Pataya fight for 11 rounds. The 12th round got difficult. Is there something to prove against Jack Massey that you can separate yourselves from everyone else in this division?
We take a lot from fights like that, you know, being in the ring with a great fighter like Marius Bradis. But, man, I'm not taking, you know, Massey lightly. You know, I know he's coming to fight. This is his opportunity to become a world champion. And I've trained for 12 rounds of war, like I always do. So I'm prepared. Let's go.
Jai Pataya versus Jack Massey for the IBF Cruiserweight title should be a fantastic fight. Chris Eubank Jr is back. He takes on Kamil Zaramata. We haven't seen Chris Eubank Jr since I thought he put in a career-best performance against Liam Smith. He's the only man I know that's been called out by everyone from 147 to 168 pounds. Chris, you're back, and it's good to see you back as well. New promotional team, new trainer for this camp as well. On the promotional team, you've chosen Boxer. Why?
Why Boxer? Because every other promoter out here is a scumbag. That's why. You know, you've got Frank Warren behind me, been lying and cheating his way through boxing for the last couple decades. Wow. Sued me for a couple $100,000 a few years ago, so obviously I was never going to go with him. You know, the guy's a scumbag. Kalle Sauerland, you know, had me locked up.
Speak up, I can't hear you.
Kalle Sauerland had me locked up in a terrible contract for the last few years, squeezing money out of me at every opportunity. Scumbag. Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith, you know, they did everything they could to try and make this fight against Conor Benn still go ahead. Still go ahead.
Why do you fight Hamza Sharad, scumbag?
After knowing that they, that he was on steroids, scumbags. You know, I would say the only. Promoter that I know for sure isn't a scumbag is His Excellency, Turki Al-Sheikh. You know, this is a man who isn't trying to take money from fighters. He isn't trying to use lawyers and accountants to lock fighters up in slave contracts. You know, he's a man of God. He's a man of religion. That's what's most important to the people of Saudi Arabia. He just wants to put the biggest fights on, the best events on, and pay fighters what they're worth. And as a fighter, you know, it's a blessing to be a fighter at this moment in time, because this is the first time we've ever had a promoter like this in the history of boxing. And, you know, Ben Shalom's a very cool guy too.
Welcome back, Chris. Harmony in the room, as expected. On your opponent choice, Chris, Kamil Zaramata, I mentioned at the top, you've had fighters from 147 to 168 to call you out, right? Some big names. Why Kamil?
Because I've been off a year, and this is a solid opponent, 25-2. He's only lost to 2 world champions. It's the perfect fight for me to get back into the ring after a year layoff, build the relationship with Saudi, get out there, get the ring rust off, and then go and knock off all these big names and world titles over the next 12 months.
Kamil, I'll come to you. A couple of big fights that you've been in recent years, Gennady Golovkin, Jaime Munguia as well. Chris Eubank Jr. represents another big fight. Those 2 previous ones you lost. What will be different October 12th?
Witam wszystkich. Po pierwsze chciałbym bardzo podziękować wszystkim organizatorom, którzy przyczynili się do tego, że mogę tu wystąpić.
Hello everyone. First of all, I would like to thank to the promoters, to the organizers.
Bardzo cieszę się z tej walki, na pewno będę chciał wykorzystać, aczkolwiek walkę z Chrisem stawiam na najważniejszą walkę w mojej karierze.
I'm really happy I'm here. I can tell you that this fight with Chris will be the most important in my career.
We all saw Chris against Liam Smith in his first fight have some troubles. Have you taken any comfort from that, knowing that he can be hurt? We saw him get knocked down and knocked out. Have you taken any comfort from that?
I didn't get knocked out. I was on my feet and the fight got stopped by the referee. Get your facts straight, please.
Apologies. He was on his feet and the fight got stopped by the referee.
Właśnie po to ciężko trenuję, tak, żeby móc wykorzystać tutaj słabości Chrisa, wejść do ringu, dać siebie wszystko i wygrać tę walkę.
That's why I train hard to find some maybe weakness or weak sides, but I promise I'm gonna give my best.
I expect this to be an exciting fight. As I said, it is great to see Chris Eubank Jr. back. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Kamil Zaramata. Our co-main event is, I think, a very special one in the heavyweight division. The British heavyweight scene, as we know right now, is one of the best scenes in world boxing. And I think we have 2 guys here that are very, very close to mixing it with a very elite in the division. Their first fight, I think, could be potentially fight of the year. And they go again. I think it isn't round 1. I think it's a continuation of the first fight. So I think it's round 13. Fabio Wardley versus Fraser Clarke. Both of you have watched this fight now, I'm guessing, so many times. Are we okay in saying that this fight was a draw? I'll start with you, Fabio.
Well, it depends who you ask, really, but no, I don't think it was a draw at all. I think I pressed the fight, I pressed the action. I had him going in the fight numerous times. I had him down, got a point deduction. I think there's many a point there that proved that I won the fight, but set up for a bigger rematch, so there's not too much to complain about. We get to come back to, well, at least I do. I get to come back to Riyadh, do it on a massive show, on a massive card, and finally settle the score properly.
Was there any hesitation in taking the fight? Not because you didn't want to fight Fraser, but maybe for other opportunities?
No, look, I'm in a fortunate position. I've got 4 belts at the moment. I'm ranked in the top 10 with multiple governing bodies, so I have options. But look, there was some unfinished business there. There were some bits to settle. I'm not the type of person to leave things to lie. I want it finished off. I want it done. I want that chapter ticked off to move forward. So, yeah, look, whilst we played around with a few other options, realistically, the only real thing was to finish off Fraser.
Fraser, I feel like I know exactly what you're going to say if I ask you, did you win the fight or was it a draw? You're going to say you won the fight, so we're going to skip that one very quickly. How much did you want this rematch, Fraser? It seemed like you were calling it from the very beginning.
Yeah, before I got back to the changing rooms, this is the fight that I wanted. You know, draws don't sit well with me. You could see I was devastated at the end of the fight. And I'm glad we got it on because, quite frankly, you know, I've had a lot of good things to say about Fabio since that fight. But now we're here and now I've seen him. I just can't wait to smash him in the face again. So I'm glad it's here.
Do you feel like it was a fight of two halves? Maybe Fabio started very strongly, you started slowly, but then you maybe got your momentum the second half. Do you feel like you need to start faster this time round?
No, we have a game plan, of course we do. But listen, I'm a reactive fighter. I'll go in there and do what I need to do. Again, a really good fight, great entertainment for everyone else. But I look back at that just see mistake after mistake, which I made. Obviously, I've gone to the gym and I've done my best. You know, I've put the work in, really put it on myself to iron out them creases and right them wrongs. You know, I'm taking a lot from these guys that are on top of the bill, you know. They are real idols of mine, so I'm just looking at them and the way they box, and mistakes can't be made. You know, when the stakes are high, it's all about who can hold it together and cut their mistakes out.
Fabio, you fought on the first Riyadh season card, Ngannou versus Fury. You fought David Adeleye, and it was a really incredible performance, maybe a career best performance. It's happy hunting ground for you, isn't it, going back there?
Yeah, look, it's a good place for me, or good memories. I've had some good times there. So thank you to His Excellency, obviously, for having me on the card again, and thank you to Uncle Frank as well for sticking me on the card, because we know that Riyadh is a good place for me. It was a fantastic win for me last time I was there, so I'm looking to put on a clean, clinical knockout performance again this time around.
Fantastic. Again, I think an incredible co-main event, British heavyweight title alongside, as you can see there, the Commonwealth heavyweight title, Fraser Clarke versus Fabio Wardley. Our main event, the one that a lot of people are very, very excited about, and understandably so. Again, it is for the undisputed title as the #1 light heavyweight, not just, again, I'll repeat myself, not just of this era. I think arguably one of the #1 light heavyweights of all time, Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev. I do want to bring in Vadim Kornilov, part of Dmitry Bivol's team, Dmitry Bivol manages so many good fighters. But Vadim, he's the crown jewel in your stable. Talk to me about Dmitry Bivol, just how special a fighter he is.
Thank you. Dmitry obviously has proved a lot already in his career, and I think everybody knows why he's special and what makes him special. But I just want to say, and I'll probably repeat myself, but I want to say how much we appreciate all of Riyadh and His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, because at the end of the day, we always said that this fight would happen, but we never knew how and in what what type of a fight it would be, what level of a show it would be, and now we see that this fight is getting the attention and the type of hype that it deserves, because like Eddie and everybody mentioned, it's probably one of the most competitive fights in the sport, and it's probably one of the biggest fights we're going to see this year. And I just want to say that we're looking forward to October 12th. We appreciate very much everything that's been done bringing up to this fight, because for us it's kind of been a build-up to the fight. I want to say thank you to Eddie, Frank Smith, all of Matchroom, Andrei Rybinski from World of Boxing, who's been with us from the beginning, Queensberry, DAZN, Spencer, and everybody involved. And definitely appreciate Top Rank and Artur Beterbiev, and we look forward to a big event. Dmitry has had an amazing camp. Hopefully everything goes well towards October 12th, and we look forward to this fight.
Thank you very much, Vadim. Before we speak to Dmitry Bivol, Todd, I want to get a word. Obviously, Artur is your charge and has been from the get-go. Look, highly ranked by everyone when it comes to pound-for-pound rankings. I don't see his name worse than number 5. A very, very special fighter, 20 wins, 20 fights, 20 knockouts, an incredible record. Just how special is Artur Beterbiev?
You know, when we come into the fight game, the one thing we really like is we like that absolute determination when somebody goes for the absolute destruction. And every time Artur gets in the ring, he just goes to terminate. And when I first met him in Canada, I was scared out of my mind sitting at a table. Frank and I are right now just shaking in our boots right now because the guy is an absolute animal. You just feel it. And last press conference, he says, I don't say much. I say, well, 2 words. He knows. That's all he said. So for the lack of speaking that he gives, he puts on an incredible performance. And I think we're all in for a special treat with 2 guys in their prime meeting each other at the great weight class. So Artur is going to put on an incredible performance, and we're going for 21, my boy.
Certainly are. Let's welcome in the current WBA and IBO champion, unbeaten Dmitry Bivol. Dmitry, it's been an incredible journey so far. Topped off, I think, by that Canelo victory in Las Vegas. He then followed up with the Zurdo Ramirez performance as well. 2 very, very good fighters. Canelo at the time, arguably maybe pound for pound number 1. But this is the fight you've been wanting and asking for a few years now. Was it just because it was undisputed, or was it you wanted to fight Beterbiev?
First of all, hello everybody. Yes, I wanted the undisputed fight first, and I wanted to fight against the best boxers in light heavyweight divisions. This was 2 my goals, to make my name in this sport. And he has these belts, and I'm so appreciate to Saudi, to His Excellency, that he made this fight. He's making this fight happen. I'm so appreciate to my team, Vadim Kornilov, to my promoters, Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith, Andrei Rybinski. Everyone was wanted to make this fight also. And of course to Artur Beterbiev, thank you for making this fight also. And this is my goal when I came to pro boxing. Of course, I put my target that I need to be the best in where I'm doing. In light heavyweight division, I have to be the best, and this is the final fight to prove myself.
What would it mean to become undisputed? It isn't just the belts that we see now, it's the Ring Magazine title as well. It's every single belt in boxing. What would it mean come October 12th, around midnight, for you to have all those belts around your waist, carrying them all around your arms?
What it means for me? I'm in boxing since 6 years old. All my journey, I was working hard, I sacrificed a lot. And this is like finals. Did I do everything right or not? And I want to make it like I did everything right.
So far, so good, as is so far, so good as well for Artur Beterbiev. Artur, incredible record, right? No world champion has your record. You've knocked out everyone or stopped everyone that you fought. You're expected to do the same by many in your team as well. But talk to me about becoming undisputed and what it would mean for you.
Hello everybody. First of all, I want to thank you for season Riyadh, for excellency, to make this happen, this fight, for my company Top Rank, Queensberry, for my opponent company, my opponent, for everyone. It's mean like, you know, when you it's top of meaning in professional boxing when you have 4 belts, you know, and that's it. I want to win another 4th one.
Does it matter that the opponent is Dmitry Bivol? Could it have been anyone here, or does it mean something extra special that it is someone that you've known for so many years in Dmitry Bivol?
Can you repeat? I didn't.
I mean, does it matter that the opponent is Dmitry, or does it mean something special that it is Dmitry because you've known Dmitry for so long?
If I understand, because I hear not very well here. If I understand, every opponent is different. I think so. It's like every person is different. That's why he is too. But we prepared for this fight some different scenarios, you know, to be ready for everything.
I have to ask, it'd be remiss of me if I didn't ask about the injury. It seemed from the outside to be a big injury. Fully recovered, we are going to see a 100% Artur Beterbiev, no excuses?
Yes, because I always do preparation for 100%. If I'm not there, I don't want to do for half is not for me.
Okay, I know you're a man of very few words, so I will ask you for a prediction. I mean, again, so far, no one has gone the distance with you. Do you expect to go the distance October 12th?
I never did prediction, but, you know, and I never want to knock him out someone, you know. It's happened like, I always more focus for different details, you know, like to prepare, to do good things. It's for me, good things.
And again, for both of you, so far so good, 2 unbeaten fighters. This is what we want, right? The best meet and the best undisputed, everything on the line, and it will be on the line, not just for these fighters, but everyone on this card as well. Before the fighters do a face-off, and I'm really intrigued about some of these face-off, we have a trailer to show you. Everyone's excited about the trailers. I am as well. I've not yet seen this one, but I've been told it is incredible. Here's the trailer for Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev, the 4-Crown Showdown.
Legend tells, at the peak of the highest mountain in all the lands, there lay dormant for thousands of years. A mystical crown, untouched, with the power to rule all of mankind. Lusted by men. Willing to die for its gift. Sacrificing everything. Before them, a terrifying journey awaits.
In my lifetime, I have seen many strong and brave warriors pass this way to claim the crown. I have not seen them since.
Unspeakable horrors, relentless agony, a wasteland of the fallen. Hunted from the shadows, they danced with death. The two defied the fate of mortals. Knocking down thousands before them. Braving the path to glory. Challenging every fiber of their being. While two emerged undefeated. There could be only one possible outcome. For one to wield the power to rule them all.
Well, that was another captivating promo. We've just heard a round of applause in the room here. Beterbiev, Bivol, and it was just so cold, Andy. This is a film again. That's Game of Thrones. That's Lord of the Rings. This is unbelievable.
I love that. All the promos have been great, but that in particular was right up my street because you say it's got that Game of Thrones vibe. People who are my age or a bit older maybe will remember a film in the 80s called Highlander with Christopher Lambert. Loads of sword fights in medieval times and modern times. There can be only one. That was another vibe it gave me watching it. It's terrific because it speaks to who they are as people, their action, not words. And I think that press conference showed us that, and I think it'll give us a good vibe as to what we can expect during fight week, because the top of the bill speaks for itself.
Yeah.
They're not going to speak all that much, and they don't need to. What that does is it leaves the way clear for the undercard to just talk up their fights as much as possible, really get themselves out there. They're not going to be overshadowed or put in the shade by the main event. They're not going to be second class because everybody only cares about the main event. They've got a real opportunity during the week to tell the world, people who don't already know, who they are.
Yeah, certainly. We're gonna see the face-offs now very, very shortly. What always makes me curious about these promos, we saw it also with Francis Ngannou and Anthony Joshua, where they did film them both together at the same time. They got in the ring together. I think Anthony Joshua faked a punch, and Ngannou went down or went flying into another realm. But we've just seen that with Beterbiev and Bivol as well. I wonder if they filmed them both at the same time and actually got them that close to, I don't know, throw fake swords at each other.
Yeah, I'd like to know the answer to that as well, actually, because it would be good, wouldn't it, if having to collaborate in the build-up like they have done for others is contractual. It becomes normal. It becomes something that's expected of fighters. Cooperation from fighters down the centuries, decades, has been really, really good. Access is great, but at the same time, sometimes you don't always get what you want. If you have a situation where it's normal, if you get in a big fight, this isn't what is expected of you. This is what has to happen, and it's far enough out from the fight that it shouldn't be a problem. If you really can't stand to be in the same room as each other, then let us know and we'll try and work around it. But I love it.
Well, Johnny Nelson has joined us as well, and we're just going to talk over these face-offs. Johnny, you've got a massive smile on your face. Let's have a look. Let's throw to what's going on the stage.
In a scheduled 4-round international lightweight contest.
Well, this is a young Saudi Arabian fighter who is making his professional debut, big opportunity for him, Johnny, and an enjoyable press conference, an interesting press conference.
What again, to make your debut on such a platform for any fighter, again, it's a Roy of the Rovers' dream to be in such favour, to actually have the opportunity to showcase your skills. It's like, I suppose it's like winning a gold medal at the Olympics. You know, you've got that springboard, that platform. Now your only job is to make sure you win, make sure you can fight. But the platform, the stage is set, and no matter what you say, around the world this will be seen. And what a chance to raise your profile.
Let's now welcome Raymond the Omen Chapman and future undisputed Sky Nicholson. They will be competing in a scheduled 10-round contest for the women's WBC Featherweight Championship of the World.
Well, I can only imagine that Sky Nicholson has told Thomas Treiber to introduce her as the future undisputed. Not sure how Raven Chapman feels about that. Fantastic history-making fight between two unbeaten fighters who are smiling. They're taking in the moment.
I can confirm that was not a prediction by our man TT. That is something that Sky Nicholson now wants to go with. It's bold, isn't it? But you love to see it. Somebody confident. She is confident that she is going to go on and claim that undisputed crown. Amanda Serrano is the best fighter currently at featherweight, and it may need her to depart the scene for that to happen, but maybe that will happen before too long. But I like the confidence. She turned around for a handshake there, Sky Nicholson, and Raven Chapman turned away, but they get it done in the end. There's no bad blood here, but it's a good fight, isn't it? I'm not really sure which way I go on it.
Cannonball Cameron and then the Surgeon Whittaker. They will be competing in a scheduled 10-round contest for the IBF International Light Heavyweight Championship.
Well, he uses star power, Ben Whittaker, but he knows in Liam Cameron this is the step up. This is the toughest fight of his professional career so far, but also a step up that he's been yearning.
Absolutely. Liam Cameron's someone who's been around the block. He's been through it on a personal level due to that ban for recreational drugs, but he's come through the other side of that, and you get the feeling that he does feel like everything is kind of a bonus. He won't be intimidated or fazed or overawed in any way by Whittaker, but what Whittaker does have is exceptional skill, and everybody agrees on that. Personally, I think he punches plenty hard enough to be a real force at light heavyweight.
Ben Whittaker's that guy that he was so sought after behind the scenes by all the promoters, the TV companies, and so this one there'll be a close scrutiny on how he deals with this stage in his domestic career.
Let's welcome Jack One Smack Massey and Jai Apataya.
Wow.
They will be competing in a scheduled 12-round contest for the IBF Cruiserweight Championship of the World.
Well, you can see Jack One Smack Massey. I think it's going to take more than one smack to get the job done against Jai Apataya October 12th.
I don't think it's an impossible task. Was it Masterneck we saw Apataya with the German?
Bradis.
Bradis. So, and when I saw that fight, I actually, you see through the starship. You see through that flash. And so in Jai Apataya, then towards the back end of it, I thought, this kid's normal. This kid's human. This kid, you know, there are flaws there that you can see, but you've got to be of a certain level to expose those flaws. I don't think Jack is. I think Jack's a tough competitor, but he's going in there with a guy that's probably 3 or 4 or 5 leagues above him, and that's reality. But the chance is being given, and Jack, you know, he talks like, look, I've been given an opportunity to fight on a big stage, not about the fighter. So that's a big fight.
And Chris Eubank Jr. They will be competing in a 12-round contest for the vacant IBO Middleweight Championship of the World.
Well, this should be very interesting. Chris Eubank Jr. had plenty to say at the press conference and now stands not just with his opponent Kamil Szeremeta, but with Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren close by as well.
I don't think any of us could have predicted the road that Eubank was going to go down in the press conference, but he's his own man, isn't he? We've known that for a long, long time. You never know exactly what you're going to get with him. He will say whatever it is that he wants to say. He does have that star power. I do feel like this is a good opponent for him because the record is good, the credentials are good, but recent signs are, for me anyway, that he's kind of hanging in there in boxing rather than staying because he's capable of really achieving all that much more. That being the case, Eubank, I believe, needs to win and look really good. Which brings another level of pressure, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's welcome Fraser, the Eraser Clarke, and Fabio Wardley. They will be competing in a scheduled 12-round contest for the British, Commonwealth, and WBA International Heavyweight Championships.
This is a fight, this one, Johnny.
You know what? The last fight was breathtaking. For a domestic dust-up, it was breathtaking. You had two heavyweights that left their heart and soul on the floor in the ring. One slumped into the corner, absolutely gassed. The other tried to start. Honestly, if you try and watch the fight back if you've not seen it. So it's round 13 on October the 12th with two heavyweights that have every reason not to lose. Fraser Clarke was put under pressure by Fabio Wardley to say, if you lose, you've lost a white-collar fighter. Fabio Wardley, he has that arrogance, he has that annoyingness about him. The way he says simple words is annoying. And Fraser himself said, I don't dislike him, it's just when I'm sat in front of him, I want to punch his face in. And Fabio's great at doing it, turned up with both belts, he knows what he's doing.
Well, the first fight was a draw. They punched each other's face in. It was a thrilling draw. One of them needs to come away with those belts. You can see Fabio Wardley there with the British title, the Commonwealth title. There's other belts on the line as well, and serious consequence for the winner to move on and go even further in this brilliant, vibrant heavyweight division.
And now is a really good time to be a heavyweight, isn't it? You see some fighters really make moves. You look at Agit Kabayel, you look at Bacoli, you look at Joseph Parker. It's not just about Fury and Usyk. And you look at Dubois at the weekend. It's the land of opportunity, isn't it? And whoever wins this fight, I think they will get the call again before too long, to be honest with you, to really get involved at that top level. And as Bunsey said right at the start of the stream, they will both feel like they did enough to win the first fight, and they will both feel like they know how they're going to win the second fight, and it's genuine from the pair of them. It's real. The confidence is real, and it is a good clash because Fabio is. There's a bit of the Eubank Juniors about Fabio in that he is just terrific at winding people up without really making too much effort, and he enjoys it. We spoke to him in that week against Adelaide, and Adelaide at one point even objected to his table manners, didn't he? Which was one of the best, one of the funniest things I've ever heard. But Fabio Wardley, the way that Fabio Wardley ate even annoyed David Adelaide.
Yeah, true. It's exactly that. It's a point to what you're saying, Johnny, about Fabio potentially just being a bit annoying for these other guys out there.
Yes, I've got nothing against him. I'm not fighting, but when he was answering, I thought, you're just annoying. But he knows it. There's a smugness about him that he just knows that he talks like a civilian, someone that's never boxed before. And there's things he said and how he says it, but it's part of his makeup. He knows what he's doing, and maybe that's why he's unbeaten, because fighters disrespected him, not given the respect he should actually have as a professional fighter. Now everybody knows how good he is, so they've got to show him the respect. But it actually works what he's doing.
Well, Fraser Clarke now has that knowledge. He now has 12 rounds of fighting Fabio Wardley up here. All of that knowledge. Can he do anything with it, is the question.
I think what he'll think, having watched the first fight back, and I think it did take him a while to watch it back. I saw him a few weeks later and he hadn't yet. He'll feel like he needs to use that jab more, that the jab worked for him early on and he kind of neglected it towards the mid rounds and towards the late rounds, because it was the pure technique of it that Fabio struggled with at times. But he knows that late in a fight, as hurt as Fabio might look, he still carries that power, because Fabio was able to hurt him in that second half, which made him a little bit hesitant to completely go all in, although we saw how exhausted he was at the final bell. But he was slightly guarded, and I think correctly, because he knew that, okay, here is a guy, although he looks like he's about to fall apart, it hasn't happened yet, and when he lets his hands go, he can still do me some damage. And that was what was so fascinating about it. It's going to be a very, very hard-earned win. Either one will know that. There's no easy way to win this fight. They're going to have to go to hell and back again, and they've got to be ready for it.
Let's head over to Thomas Driver.
Participants, Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. They will be competing in a scheduled 12-round contest for the undisputed light heavyweight championships of the world.
Well, Artur Beterbiev appears to be coming out to music normally that Chris Eubank Jr comes out to. I'm not sure that Chris Eubank Jr is going to raise it with him. I don't think he'll have a fight with him about it. But Artur Beterbiev looking cool, looking composed, and looking every part of the unified world light heavyweight champion.
These two both moved so quick as pros, didn't they? Bivol, when he was 11-0, 12-0, became a world champion. Beterbiev, I remember, I was a bit obsessed with him when he turned pro because I'd seen him in the amateurs, and he ended up in Canada, which I didn't really expect. Loads of people were after him, and he moved quick. I remember commentating on him smashing Tavoris Cloud to pieces when he was about 4-5-0, and Tavoris Cloud was, a very experienced fighter. And after that, he was difficult to match, but you knew that he couldn't be stopped. He was kind of waiting for the Kovalev-Andre Ward situation to play out, and then once it had, there was no holding him back. He had that amazing fight with Gvozdyk, which is probably one of the biggest, best, high quality, but least publicised fights that you'll see. And it's just, this is going to be an absolute pleasure and privilege to be ringside for, because this could be one of the best fights you'll ever see.
Yeah, it feels like, Johnny, this is perhaps the biggest pure puncher in boxing. His record certainly suggests so. Gets perhaps the best pure boxer in boxing.
Without a doubt. Listen, and I'm an ex-champion. You get fighters past and present in here that will be in awe of these two fighters, because it doesn't get any higher than this. It doesn't get any as real as this, authentic as this. You've got two fighters that have all the belts. It's undisputed in regards to what looking at the A fighting B. This is how it should be in our game. Number one fights number two at the moment. We're trying to find out who's what. But this, for our game alone, to me, I'm in awe of it. I think it's brilliant to have this fight, and you can only but respect this fight and these fighters.
And let's not forget, on the undercard, and look at these guys with all the gold. Of course, Dmitry Bivol has his WBA title and IBO title as well, so bringing two titles to the table. But also on the undercard, Jai Opetaia. He's up at cruiserweight, of course, he's the IBF world champion, and there has been talk of perhaps the winner of this fight, the two gentlemen, monsters that you can see on the screen, moving up to take on Jai Opetaia, whose bottom half of his face you could just see in shot. There's just so many permutations, so many great fights out there.
There are, and Opetaia does seem like a guy who's beginning to become a little bit impatient. I found that fight against Breeders fascinating, though, because he controlled it, he did the sensible thing, but then he was really in trouble again towards the end there. And maybe that's the result of not having fought anyone at that level since he fought him the first time. I think Massey will give him a good fight, because he's done that 10 rounds with a full-blown light heavyweight in Joseph Parker, and that's a result that's aged well, hasn't it? How Massey did that night.
Yeah,
so he won't be bothered about the punch power. He won't be reckless, but he'll have that confidence that he can take it. And he's a technically sound fighter, Massey. Obviously, Opetaia's a big favourite, but...
Well, let's look at this, because they are facing off again. There's been a massive group photo just now with the entire card. It's a star-studded card. It's a fight card full of brilliant fights. And just a little bonus face-off there as well between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. These guys are going to be sick of the sight of each other by the time the first bell rings.
Listen, there's no emotion, and I'll keep saying these two are like a couple of serial killers. There is no emotion whatsoever. They want to get in there and batter the other. They're indifferent. So, and that is the professionalism about them, because they understand once you become emotionally attached or involved with your opponent, that's round one to your opponent. And so they're very sharp on saying, nope, it's not my personal, this is pure business. And I look at them, I think, these are kids that play it. These young men, they played out in the snow in their underpants when they were kids. That's real toughness. They're tough to the core. So if you want to look in the dictionary, look for tough, real, authentic fighters. That's them two.
Well, Andy, I'm not sure you played out in your pants in the snow as a child, but I've got nothing to suggest otherwise. But tell me your thoughts. We just seen a brilliant group picture of the entire card. This is mega. This is a fantastic way to start October 12th Riyadh season.
It is. It's another just very, very good card from top to bottom, and the top is as good as any top that you'll find in the sport in terms of the quality of the two fighters and what we might see. It could be one of the best fights anybody has ever seen. I genuinely believe that. It won't get the attention that Fury Usyk will get, and we understand why not, because the heavyweights are the heavyweights, but it is absolutely supersonic. And then you look at the undercard, and there's so much to like about the undercard. I'm looking forward to the rematch between Fabio Wardley and Fraser Clarke. Fraser's just going to come and join us now, because it's a main event in itself, the rematch between these two. It's a main event in itself. And I've just been talking about the card, Fraser, and the top of the bill is just this utterly stupendous fight. But what's great about it is that they don't do a lot of talking, Bivol and Beterbiev. They don't do much talking at all. It speaks for itself. So the way is clear during fight week for the undercard, for you all to sell yourselves as the main event of the undercard, if you like, and really let people who don't know you globally know who you are.
Yeah, I think, going on the card, I think me and Fabio are the next fight. I think it's a real good one. The first one was great. Well, like you said, the main event, I'm not sure people are getting the magnitude. When I'm sitting up there, it almost feels wrong that I'm at the same table, because I've watched these two come through the system. I've watched them go on to be pros, and when it comes to being a professional boxer, for me, they are both about as good as it gets. So it's an honour, and I'm excited to be on the undercard. I'm really excited.
Fraser, it's not wrong that you were up there. The first fight with Fabio was an absolute thriller. Don't forget what you did in the Olympics as well. So let's give Fraser a bit of props.
But these two are different gravy, as we say.
They are pretty good. But listen, the first fight with Fabio was a thriller, one of the best British heavyweight fights that we've probably ever seen. What are you expecting in the rematch? Is it round 13, or have you learnt enough to do something different? Has he learnt enough? What do you think?
Well, the great thing is we both had time. This isn't a rematch that's come around quick. I imagine he's gone away and worked on things. I've definitely done the same. I'd be naive not to. So we spoke to him earlier, me and Fabio, and he told me it's round 13. Same as he did last time. Well, he's in for a big shock if he thinks he's getting the same Fraser Clarke, because he's not. It was one of them that I've looked at rematches. I've been watching a lot of rematches, and what it seems to me is the man that uses his brain in a rematch can often be the one that comes out on top. But nevertheless, I've got a lot to deal with, because he's a good fighter. He's actually underrated in his skills. For saying we know he's got punch power, but he has got a little bit more to him than just that. So he's going to get the best version of me, the best version of him. We gel. It makes for a good fight.
We just spoke to Johnny, and Johnny said he's done the gloves are off with both of you, of course, gave us a little insight there. He said Fabio's got that kind of smugness that can just annoy another fighter.
Yeah.
Has he annoyed you, Fraser?
He doesn't annoy me. I think the irritating thing about Fabio is he thinks he's at world level when he's definitely not. I think what was coming to my head is, you should have killed me when you had the chance, because I'm 12 rounds more experienced, hard 12 rounds more experienced, and I feel like that was probably the little bit was missing. Obviously, it was my 9th fight. We've gone at quite a fast pace. I think he's made a big mistake. He kept speaking about knocking me down. I think he made a big mistake not let me get back up and carry on, and seeing out the 12 rounds, he made a big mistake, because, like I say, I'm improved, I'm well rested, I'm fit, I'm strong, and it was hard, with last week being on with Joshua and DeBar. It was hard to get in that fight mode, and now since that shifted, now we're here. All of a sudden, bang, it's there. I'm locked. I was locked in, but I'm not switched on to the fact that we're up next, and it's not long now. I can't wait.
I don't think there's any easy way to win this fight. You want to win it comfortably, but you both had to walk through the fire the first time around, and I don't really see it being. It could be a different fight, but it's going to be a tough fight, is what I'm saying, and I'm sure you're ready for that. What's it like, just kind of readying yourself to take yourself to that place for 12 rounds?
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I think big fights are about moments. Definitely, you know, we've seen that over the years. This is one of them fights. I sat with my nan last week, and she was saying, "I'm so excited for the fight." I said, "Nan," I said, "it would mean a lot to me if you didn't watch it, because I feel it could be one of those fights. You know, we're going to see blood again. We're going to see big shots going in, and I just know that to win this fight." On that night, everything, the stars have to align. You need to be fit, you need to be strong, you need to use your brain. We know we both got the heart, but may the best man win. You know, like I say, I've got nothing bad to say about Fabio. I think our first fight did enough talking for us, and from now it's sort of, let's get over to Saudi, let's get locked in and prepare for the best fight.
I mean, do give us some talking though, just because people were better. I mean, they're not going to say anything, so we are sort of looking at you guys to just stir it up a little bit.
So, well, like I said, I think he thinks he's better than he is. That's my only thing. I think he overlooked me the first time. By the sounds of it, unless he's blagging me, he's overlooking me again. He's thinking about what's ahead already, and he should know from the first time. You know, once bitten, twice shy. They say he shouldn't look over me. I'm not the person to be looked over. I'm going there to do a job, and this time, last time I was going there to do 12 rounds and compete. You know, I did believe, but obviously I'd not done that distance before. It was a big step up. This time I'm going there to bash him and knock him out.
Oh, best of luck to you, Fraser Clarke. Thank you for joining us. And Andy, let's just wrap. Fraser, if you want to shuffle your way, just shuffle your way off. Look at that. It's footwork. Look at the footwork of Fraser Clarke.
We've got the cruiserweight, WBO World Cruiserweight champion Chris Billam-Smith.
The gentleman has joined us.
Just grooving his way up to the stage. You look very well, Chris, I have to say.
Thank you. Likewise.
Not that you don't always, but you're looking very, very sharp. So what did you make of that, just in general, the press conference there, with a particular eye on the cruiserweights, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, Addy obviously announced him as the #1 cruiserweight in the world, and so he announced it, so I stood up, but they didn't want to talk to me for some reason. So no, it's a great fight. It's a great show. The card's obviously stacked from top to bottom, and I mean the main event's superb. But yeah, you got Jack Massey on there against Jaya Pattaya, which is obviously a fight I'll be very keen in watching. But obviously got my own business to sort in the meantime.
Are you seeing this whole cruiserweight journey culminating in Jaya Pattaya for all of the belts? You're both collecting belts, both doing your thing. Is that how you see all of this panning out?
Yeah, but probably, to be honest, in my ideal world, it would be Zerdo next, and then Jai, and that would mean, you know, he'd have one belt and with the IBF, and I'd have the WBA and WBO, so that the WBC would still be floating around. But I think it culminates in me and him, and it's me and him is seen as the #1 and 2 in the division, and we both believe we're #1, so we're going to have to get it on at some point. So hopefully we both come through our next fights and we get it on next year.
Speaking of next fights, strong rumours that in November it will be you and Ramirez.
Yeah.
Any latest on that?
No, all signed, all signed and all done now. So it's a great fight. Stylistically, it's a real tough test. It's a unification fight for me, which is something that's, you know, really exciting and was always the goal after sort of cleaned up domestically. So that fight's a huge fight out in Riyadh. You know, they're putting on great cards, and I'm really excited to be part of it.
I'm sure you'll be taking most of Bournemouth out with you as well.
Yeah, there's a few people. My wife's actually messaging me this morning, like, get some information about hotels and flights, etc. And we've looked at all sorts of options already. But so my wife's like, I've got everyone asking me like about the fight, so I'm sure there'll be a strong contingent out there.
You're a former gym mate of Daniel Dubois. I'm just keen to get your thoughts on what transpired on Saturday night. I'm sure you watched with the rest of the world. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think based on form, I actually said that Daniel's on the better form. I think in his last few fights, he had obviously the Usyk fight was a loss, but the Lorena fight, he came through an injury to get a knockout, so that's overcoming something which maybe before we hadn't really seen from Daniel. The Usyk fight is Usyk, and he probably learnt a bit in that fight as well. And then the last two fights against, in Jarrell Miller, it was a real tough test. And Hrgovic, he'd overcome that discomfort and got through it and with the wins. And I think that was the biggest sort of red flag, if you want, about Daniel. But after he come through, then it's like he's ticked all the boxes. He's got a great chin, can punch, can fight, can get through tough fights, grueling fights like Jarrell Miller's, like all that weight leaning on you and tiring you out and getting through and getting a stoppage late on. He ticked a lot of boxes in those fights, as he did, like I said, in the Lorena fight as well. But for me, there was more question marks over AJ in terms of he hasn't boxed a puncher for a long, long time. But then at the same time, I thought, how does Daniel deal with the occasion? It's nothing new to AJ. But yeah, Daniel dealt with it perfectly, and he was walking to the ring. He was ready to go. In the ring, he was laser focused. You worry about the occasion getting to him, looking round and things like that, but he wasn't. He was laser focused, and he was there to do a job. And yeah, phenomenal performance from him on Saturday night.
Can I trouble you for a bit of a breakdown, maybe, but definitely a prediction for the top of the bill, Beterbiev, Bivol, because Wardley, Clarke is the one that we're most interested in from a UK point of view. But you've got no allegiances or biases or friendships involved in Beterbiev, Bivol. I don't know whether you do with Fabio or Fraser or not, but sometimes harder to kind of cast a vote. But with that top of the bill, how do you see that going?
Yeah, phenomenal fight. It's one that everyone in boxing is excited about, and people outside of boxing need to be watching, because it's one of those pick and fights. It's hard to pick against a guy who's had 20 fights and 20 knockouts, especially at the level he's boxed at. If you go to his resume, from the start, it's a solid resume. So it's hard to pick against that. But I've watched a lot of Bivol in the build-up to my fight, because obviously he's the only one to beat Zerda Ramirez, and I just see how smart he is and all the things he does, and his feet and his range, and he punches really long, and got enough pop to respect it. Although his record doesn't suggest he's a massive puncher, he's got enough pop to keep people off and earn their respect with the power, which is why people can't just walk him down and try and maul him. So I edge just towards sort of a Bivol points victory, but it wouldn't surprise me if the opposite happened and Beterbiev knocked him out. It's a great fight, and these are the fights that we're getting now, and it's brilliant to see.
Great analysis, great breakdown. Thank you very much. The gentleman, CBS, Chris Billam-Smith.
Cheers, gents.
Thank you very much, Andy Clarke, as well, for joining me as ever. And thank you for joining us. October 12th, the 4 Crown Showdown. The undisputed World Light Heavyweight Championships will be on the line. Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev. It is cold. I absolutely cannot wait for this fight. Riyadh season.